What's up? What's up, people? Happy Wednesday. Good evening. Good morning if you're in the part of the world where it's already Thursday. All of those good things. How is everybody doing? It is officially December. I don't even know what to say about that. I hope y'all have recovered from eating for Thanksgiving, shopping on Black Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I hope you were able to catch deals if you were out Christmas shopping, all the things. If you are a business owner and you're watching this, I would love for you to drop in the comments how your sales went. Did your business boom? Was it struggle? Do you wish you had set some boundaries? Are you still recovering? Like, drop in the comments how your Black Friday, Thanksgiving sale, shopping weekend went. I would love to hear that. I know that can be a really big time of year for all business owners. So drop it in the comments, which is funny because today's episode, we are talking about a topic that will buddy with that whole situation. Maybe you felt like you were teetering on burnout, which I know we just talked about. Maybe you felt like, you were all over the place. You wish you had a system in place, or you wish you had a little support, or you wish you'd created some kind of planner or were more prepped for Black Friday, whatever the case may be. Tonight, we're talking about a word that Dayna and I both are just like, stop saying that. We're talking about balance and balancing responsibilities as a business owner, as a mother, as a wife, all of the hats that you wear, throw it in there. We're going to talk about it. And Andriana may be pro balance. I know Dayna and I are going to talk about why we hate it, why we hate that word. But y'all dig in. I would like to know in the comments, do you feel like you have good work-life balance? Are you like, don't say that word, y'all, I don't even want to hear that word? How do you feel about balance within your business, within your responsibilities? Drop it in the comments. Y'all know we like for y'all to interact. All right, ladies, let's get into it.
Let's go. So I'll hop right in. First and foremost, because I feel very similar about like when people are like, let's get motivated. And I'm like, motivation is garbage.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about balance. I think that's garbage. And I feel like it's one of those things that we paint this pretty picture of and we strive for it. And then we constantly fail. And then we think there's something wrong with us. Right. And the reason I feel like it's one of those like not realistic, attainable things is our minds are very logical, even though we can be emotional people, right? And so when you say balance, that means the scales are equal, okay? Yep. The scales are equal. That's what balance means, right? Whereas the reality is, I know for me, there's some days because as y'all know, I'm a homeschooling mama, right? There's some days where I'm like, yeah, girl, we had this creative project with the kids. I am a rock star homeschooling mama. I'm on top of the world. I'm doing all of the things. Look at me. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot 3 calls that I was supposed to be on. And apparently these kids need to eat. Who knew? Right? And so in those moments, when you say balance, it means that my homeschooling is going into the same arena as me taking care of my home, in the same arena as me doing my volunteer work, in the same arena as my business, in the same arena and I got multiple businesses, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's more of a juggling act than an actual balance. But I feel like you can find a lot of peace. So for me, I know other people have other terms that they use. I prefer harmony. And the reason I prefer harmony is because I feel like there's a level of I can say or I can foresee I'm going to show up for my kids 100% here, which means I need to schedule my business differently here.
Yes.
And that way I have harmony because I feel more in control than when I'm trying to balance all of the plates and spin them at the same time. Like we only got 2 hands, y'all. Right? So I personally, I don't strive for balance. I strive for harmony. Where can I find where I can nibble at this a little bit, nibble at that a little bit, and then still feel accomplished at the end of the day? Like, okay, I did what I set out to do.
Right. I like that. I like that.
That's
I see you laughing down there, girl.
No, it was just when you said in the beginning. I don't know how Andriana feels about that word. I don't even know what balance is. I'm just out here. I'm just out here in these streets spinning. I don't know. Some research. When y'all find that balance, y'all let me know, because I think I like the word that we used. I think it was a couple of episodes ago when somebody said they used like priorities. I've started implementing that since then, and it's like, okay, I can do the priority thing. And I think that goes along with me just telling everybody what to do and when to do it. I just need to have that same attitude for myself, because I can tell everybody else what to do all day long. But when it comes to me and handling my business, I don't know. I'm on the struggle bus with that one. But I don't know if I don't have. We can call it responsibility. I forget my responsibilities because I don't know about you ladies, like Dayna said in the beginning. Yeah, your kids got to eat. I have to meet up with some people. How do you prioritize based off of like your day to day, everything? How do you prioritize? That's what I want to know in the comments. For those of you that have your own businesses, I don't know. Do you start first thing in the morning? Do you start in the afternoon? How is that working out for you? Let me know down there, because, like I said, I've just implemented this a few weeks ago, and yeah, it's been a game changer. So let me know. All right, Miss Tameka.
Listen, them priority lists is everything. I'm gonna go ahead and shout it out. Dayna leaks it a lot in here, but it came from a Time to Get Seen 2 years ago. Time to Get Seen 2 years ago, and I think it was Adam whom said it. I remember sitting on the steps this time of year, actually, because it comes out in October. So going back 2 months, so 26 months ago, y'all. 26 months ago, I was sitting on my steps, putting my child's shoes on, getting ready to head out. I was running around messy hair. Who knows what kind of pajamas I had on, getting ready to do school drop off. But I remember just being like, all right, I'm ready for Black Friday. Like, I'm ahead of the game. Drop these sales so we can do these things. But I'm ready to decorate. Like, I had all these, my brain was running a marathon that started like 6 months ago. And I remember him being like, oh Lord, what was the word? It'll come to me. But time. He said, if time was a person, it would have a bad rap. Because every time something goes wrong, we say, if I had more time, if there was this time, we always blame it on time. And I was like, oh, he talking to me, y'all. I feel like he's talking to me. He can't see me, but he's talking to me. Because we blame everything on time. And I'm like, well, we all know, and we'll say it. Well, we all only have the same 24 hours, but we only awake for 12 to 16, depending on what kind of person you are. So why aren't we, time? Well, time's a bad person. Look, I don't have enough of it. It's not enough, right? And he was like, change that mentality. Because to-do lists mean it's everything you have to do. So you're building this list and it's like your honey-do list. My husband got a honey-do list coming out of his behind. And I know he'd be like, if she don't leave me alone. But you just keep adding. Whereas priorities have that red mark right in your phone. I see a red notification on my phone and I have to get rid of it because it drives me crazy. And that's how my priority list is. So it forces you to be like, sit down with yourself for those 5 minutes in the day or whatever it may be, or at night, because I'm not a morning person. So I'm not going to pretend I do it at 5 o'clock in the morning. But at night before you close your eyes and be like, what is it that I absolutely have to do tomorrow? What has to get done? Or what didn't get done today that now becomes a priority for tomorrow? Because the rest of it, if it's not a priority, you're not going to be hung up on it not getting done. Whereas a to-do list, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do. And then how I can get real squirrely. I'll be working on 20 things. And then like Dayna said, I done missed 5 calls. I was supposed to be at a networking event. Just cancel the whole thing. So them priority lists is everything. If you missed that episode, I think it was burnout we was talking about, Nikema. You've got to, because it's a huge game changer. But I'm with Dayna. I have this quote unquote thing that everybody calls balance. But if I tell you, you're like, well, that's not balance. Because like Dayna said, by definition, you think balance and you think this, right? I'm a Libra. I love the scales, but it's misleading because it's not balance. The first time I heard it was from a mentor that I dubbed as a mentor, and she had no idea that she was my mentor. But she said, you got to find work-life balance. And at that moment, it was like motivation. Because in my brain, I was struggling. I was drowning. I was like, I want to be here and I want to be here. And I was overseas and I was on a 6-hour difference in time schedule to the rest of my team. And I was like, okay, work-life balance. If I do 2 hours of work, I need 2 hours over here. And then this and this, but you only got 24 hours and you're not awake for 24 hours. And listen, baby, I tried to be awake for 24 hours and you can't do it. You cannot do it. And so I mentioned before we jumped on, the only time I say balance is with my hormones. When those jokers are balanced, it's all love. When you try to create balance in your life, like you're thinking 50-50, 100, it's not that. How I ended up looking at it and appreciating it and started telling my own teams and those I come into contact with is balance, if you have to use that word, is whatever you need in that moment. There are going to be moments where you just want to work. Like you're at that point that you're like, let's go. I'm creative as a mug. Grab the paper and the pen, close the door. Don't nobody talk to me. And that's okay. Work in that. Then there are going to be moments where you're like, you know what, y'all? I'm clearing my calendar, talk to my assistant. I'm going on vacation with the kids. And that's keeping you balanced. You've got the systems in place for your business. It's all good. So when I accepted that and adopted that, I think everything flourished. Not only just me, but my health flourished because it was like, oh, okay, I don't have to now stay up 24 hours and then be sad because I'm sleeping knowing I got 30 other things to do. I hate it. And if you're out there like, but that's balance, but it's not, because sometimes it's 80% and 10 here and then another 10 here. And to some people that seems very scattered.
Right.
But it's so not. It fills my cup and I'm able to give that 100% to each place because I'm happy and not resentful about where I'm at. Mm-hmm. Now, though, that being said, we all have responsibilities. And if you're running a business, your business is your baby. Whether it was ground up, you became a brand partner, joined in, whatever. So when you've got things going on that clash, how do you ladies deal with that? How do you communicate that? How do you not fall into pitfalls of like mom guilt or just guilt in general?
I just learned how to ask for help. Mm-hmm. Because for me, I've said it once before, I'm the oldest. I didn't depend on anybody. And so it was hard for me to just, I'm married, have a husband and all that and kids, but just help me. These mm-hmm. not my kids by myself. Help me. You the one told me to go out here and get a job. Help me balance this out here. Or mm-hmm. just help me just in general, just sit down and listen to me vent about what they did to me today because I'm about to lose my mind. And that was hard for me to step into asking for help. Mm. And I don't know if that's a older sibling mentality that we just mm-hmm. don't want to ask for help. Maybe y'all middle kids and babies scared to ask for help too. I don't know. But for me, it was hard just asking mm-hmm. for help. And I think y'all will be surprised. The last couple of years is when I learned how to just sit down. Okay, I need some help.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good one. I will also add, so I am the baby. I struggle with asking for help as well. Mm. But I think for me, I have two perfectionist parents. Mm. So my father and my mother, my mother, biological mother, are perfectionists. So for me, nothing was ever good enough. It was always you got to get better, got to get better, got to get better, got to get better, got to get better. And so when I think about, again, the challenge that comes sometimes with the balance, I had to release these expectations to show up perfect in all of the arenas in order to have the better priority, which kind of takes me to, like, I feel like here is where you start, right? So if you prioritize your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional health from within, then you can show up better in your business. Then you can show up better in your family. But if this is not right, you will never find that harmony. You will never find what works for you and your systems. And so when I released this idea that each piece had to be perfect, it made it so much easier for me to say, hey, I actually do need help. Hey, actually, there is too much going on here, right? Or sometimes I just ship it. I'm like, you know what? The reel might not be perfect. I transparency. A couple weeks ago, I put a reel out there, right? And I'm like, okay, great. I just shipped it. Then I went back and looked at it. I was like, wait, why did the video move from here to here? Like, why is it looking like that? But it still did and serve the purpose that it needed to serve. So I'm not going to redo it. I'm not going to go back for it. It is what it is. I shipped it. Move on to the next thing I need to create. Move on to the next thing I need to show and display and get out there. And so that would be one of my biggest things, because I'm always trying to show up at this high level. Sometimes you just can't, and be okay with that, because a lot of times some of those goals that you're putting out there are unrealistic, and you're always going to feel like you're catching up or feel like it's not enough. And so release that expectation that everything has to be perfect.
That's awesome that you brought that up. I mean, we definitely could tackle a whole episode about realistic goal setting. Because listen, we all out here. Dayna says it all the time. We want to take over the world, like today, not in 6 months, not in 10 years, like right now. Like I got 2 minutes to spare. We want to take over the world right now. So, would you say that setting goals, not necessarily, outside of like your typical business, like I got a 90-day goal, but a goal for whatever it is, would help you stay away from trying to create this balance, but give you direction?
For sure. Me personally, I don't know. It's funny because I am not well, it's so bad. I am very competitive. But like I would say, I'm the hardest on myself.
Yeah.
So I got to a point where I stopped telling other people my goals. Because if I didn't make them, then like literally my whole life is, oh my goodness, I give up. I don't want to do any of the things anymore. So I still set these goals, but now I break them into bite sizes. And breaking it down into bite sizes, it's like, again, because my brain is like, let's take over the world. Okay, well, what can you do today that moves you a couple steps closer to taking over the world, right? So it might just simply be, okay, sit down, get your content together for 2023, right? Like, let's really focus on what things do we want to achieve in the whole year that we can break down to achieve in a 3-month increment, that we can achieve in a 1-month increment, that we can achieve in a week, that we can achieve today. So then today, I'm only focusing on today, right? I'm not focusing on 3 months and going that far, but I know each one of those increments is going to get me closer to that goal. I do think that it's so vital that you visualize and actually have something, your target that you're hitting, because otherwise you're going to spin your wheels and you're going to be working really hard and you're not going to yield results that you're looking for. Or you're going to be working really hard and you're moving in a completely different direction than you meant to go. You're like, wait a minute. I thought we were going to Japan. Why are we over here? Right? South Africa. What happened? Right? Yeah. So I do think that it's super important, but you have to frame that in a way that will motivate you or that will move you towards that goal, knowing your own personality.
Yeah, I've been there. That whole you working hard when you have no direction. I know we have said it a lot of times about not liking to create, not liking to be put into a box. And even though I feel like I'm gonna say I've healed that portion, but it's still a work in progress always. Like I always have to intentionally tell myself, Tameka, if you don't make that list that you over here cringing about, make the list, just complain about it as you go, because you know it's gonna help you. But I know there's probably some listeners, some viewers, wherever you're catching this live right now, that were like heard Andriana say it's hard to ask for help. I know that, like, I mean, my husband walked in here and handed me the tea, but a few years back, I would be like, Andriana, like, I need my nightly tea, get everything flowing before I hit this bed, but I'm busy and I don't want to ask him. Or I felt like in order to be this picture perfect wife, and I don't even know if it came from watching, my grandparents and all the women in my life, or it's just something I created as what you're supposed to do. I didn't want to either. And I know there are some women who are watching that are like, help. Like, who's going to ask for that? That's not what we do. We don't ask for help. Like, it's like other things. We just don't talk about it. And then there are some ladies who are probably watching that are like, I don't have no problem. Like, I need you to do this. So with that, because I do think, like Andriana said, that's a big piece of that. We have to be able to take, like we talked about way back in the beginning when we first came together, take that support system and lean on our support system, on those who are investing in us as our immediate families, and ask for help. But do y'all think it is a cultural thing? I'm going to go there. Is it cultural that you don't want to ask for help, or that it's drilled in you not to ask for help? And y'all out there watching too, I would love to see like where you grew up, how you grew up, the dynamics, and whether you have an issue with asking for help or you don't. Because I would really be interested in knowing, do we think collectively as a panel that it is a cultural thing that we are very apprehensive to ask for help?
Y'all don't drag me in the comments, okay? But all the time I hear us ladies of color, I'm a strong Black woman. Who else do you hear saying that? You don't hear nobody saying, I'm a strong Mexican woman. I'm a strong Caucasian woman. You don't hear that from them. So why do we have to prove that we just strong and we can do it all by ourselves? Is that because, I don't know, we've heard over and over, like our grandmothers and great grandmothers was out in the field, they was having babies and they just jumped back to work? Is that the reason why? Or is it just because we just feel like, I was taught always that my family is my responsibility, and so I have to take care of them. Yes, my husband is there, but it's on me to make sure my kids are ready, the kids are fed, my girl's hair at home. It's my responsibility to make sure everybody gets to the doctor. What I mean, I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was because of grandparents and back in the day cultural things coming up, but I don't know, that whole strong Black woman thing. Yeah, I'm a strong Black woman, but I'm asking you to help me. Okay. Because we need help. So I think it's a cultural thing.
So just to kind of add on to the cultural thing, I do think so. Baseline, most of us, I'm not saying all of us, but most of us have some type of roots, I would say, in Christianity.
Yeah.
Of some sort. And I feel like there's levels that we're taught when it comes to like the headship arrangement, right? Yeah. And when you think biblically, I don't know if I'm saying that word right, in the Bible. You know what I mean? That's what you kind of culturally saw too. And now, granted, not everybody in the Bible, well, that's a whole other thing. But right, so you have The man is supposed to take care of these responsibilities. And then the woman is the one in the home taking care of the things in the home. And then we had a shift, right? Where now the woman has to work too. But it never really shifted that, oh, but now, by the way, together we do the things in the home, right? It's like you still stayed and maintained that certain expectation. Where so then you're showing up where you're doing the things to bring in money, like a business owner or a professional and those type of things. But then it's still expected all of those other woman duties, right? Quote unquote, you should be taking care of those too. I do agree with you as well when it comes to like that strong Black woman, but I feel like to a certain extent, and I'm not saying, I do think this is something that is a woman thing, but I feel like for us, right, in a lot of those moments, we didn't have anyone defending us, right? Like, unfortunately, because culturally, we a lot of times tear each other down, right? And then culturally, they're tearing us down too, right? I'm bombarded from the time I'm a little girl to what the status of beauty is and what certain so I'm sitting here having to prove myself on a day-to-day basis, right? One of the things that was indoctrinated with me at a young age is like, anything I do, this is what they're going to classify as a Black woman or a Black child or a Black girl, right? So you got to show up smarter. You got to show up on time. You got to be more behaved. You got to do this, because it's not like you just showing up for Dayna. You're showing up for our whole culture, right? Like if this person, you the first little Black girl they done ever met, right? Now you're the standard for what that looks like. And so I do feel like those things intertwine culturally. Again, and so because those were the expectations that were put on us as children, we grew up with women where it's like, okay, now I have to do all the things, right? I have to find balance, right? Because I need to work. I need to be a good wife, because if I don't cook, clean, and fold clothes, I'm not a good wife, right? So I do think a lot of those different pieces fall into play.
I that was both of y'all really good context, and as Andriana was talking, like my brain was filtering. I'm like, ooh, where did that start? I don't know, all y'all watching, if like when you hear us having conversations, if something twinges with you, if you go, ooh, when did that start for me? And then it make you go back. Dayna brought up, along with cultural, an amazing point. Like majority of people have some kind of biblical or Christian based learning somewhere down the line. Extensiveness aside, you have that. And I can remember, before Angelo and I got married, we did the marriage counseling, which I thought was like, oh Lord, I'm about to sit here and be drilled, which I would tell, I have absolutely no problem in playing. I don't even want to say playing, in stepping into my role as a woman. But where I have a problem is where it's this gray area that I didn't know about being a woman or a wife. That's like, who? Because but you don't want to, because in your mind, if you're like, look, I have no problem in saying, because I get pegged as like, I'm unapproachable, I can be intimidating. So it's like, I have no problem telling people, look, I can be submissive. I understand where all that goes in, and my husband is head of household, and I have no issue with that. But maybe I feel like, okay, I'm just not going to ask for that, I'm supposed to do this. Like, I know the food needs to be put away and the dishes need to be done, but I got to jump on this call real quick. I'm not going to ask him to do that because that's not his job. And I started out that way, but then as I matured into our marriage, I'm like, but I'm not the one that makes this mess. So that can't be outside of the realm of possibility. So I do think I agree with both ladies and Dayna taking the two and putting them together, because that's heavy. That's heavy in a lot of, just women across the board. That's heavy in your life. Those are things that you're taught. And if you stand on the Bible, you're like, that's what I'm supposed to do. How do I not do that? And, you know, I got to answer for that at the end of the day. Like, so yeah, definitely. I would love to hear y'all's thoughts out there watching. Fellas, if you're watching with your wives right now, your girlfriends, if you're just watching by yourself, I would love to hear your thoughts as well, because I know the dynamics play differently in households. Because like Dayna said, it's not everybody. There are female dominated households, and that's a topic on its own. Go for it, girl. Right? So I would love to hear everybody's takes, where they kind of stand on that, how they feel about those things, and how they play into how you do this balance thing with your responsibilities, because it can be hard. And running a business this time of year too, it can be difficult. And I think we brought up some really, really great points that I would love for y'all to touch on. Now, y'all, Wednesdays, every Wednesday, we are here live. So y'all thought I had something crazy coming. Every Wednesday, we show up, stand in these gaps, have these hard conversations. We would love to know if there's anything that you would like for us to talk about. If you want to hear our opinions on what we think as far as running our own businesses, drop them in the comments, shoot us messages. Make sure you go follow us. Y'all, didn't nobody say a single thing about our handles being up. Y'all go follow everybody if you're not already. We will drop in the comments. If you cannot catch this live, we would love for you to be here live so you can interact with us, but we understand that life happens. You can go and find episode 1 all the way to this episode 13 over on the YouTube page. Please give that a like, follow, subscribe, all the things. I don't know the tango lango for that, but we are back every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. It's Black Women in Business, The Dirty Truth, y'all, and we will see you next week. You don't want to miss it. Talk to y'all later.
Bye, y'all.